I think as a pro-life person, you say, what about the rights of the tens of millions of unborn babies that have been relentlessly under attack by the left for decades now? We are not talking about the same conversation that happened 40 years ago. Today's Democrats are advocating in many cases for the rights to have an abortion beyond the birth of the child. And most Americans would say that's not something that sits well with me.
That liar and lunatic is Cassie Smedile, who is the executive director of America Rising pro-Trump PAC. She's on Fox News. She should probably look into whether or not Donald Trump had some of his mistresses do abortions after he impregnated them. I don't know if that happened, but something you should look into, including all the Republican congressmen like Representative Desjardins, who got his mistress pregnant, forced her to have an abortion, forced his wife to have an abortion as well, by the way.
Correction, 2 abortions for his wife.
Oh, 2 abortions for his wife.
So 3 overall. And
Desjardins.
Republicans reelected him.
Yeah, okay.
They don't believe in pro-life at all.
But the idea that the left wing in this country advocates for or supports abortions past the birth of the child is the most egregious, insane lie. In fact, if we actually want to be accurate, why don't we talk about all the children who die as a result of hunger, poverty, that results from austerity measures that Republicans have fought for tooth and nail to pleasure their corporate donors just so they can save a buck or two in taxes. Let's talk about that, bitch. You wanna talk about that? You wanna talk about how many homeless kids die on the streets in red states in this country? You wanna talk about how many right-wingers made wearing a mask during a contagious pandemic a culture war issue? Knowing full well that it put people's lives in danger and very likely spread the virus and killed people? You wanna talk about that, bitch? Anyway, others got heated on that panel, Cenk. So why don't we look at more of that video and then I'll give you an opportunity to jump in.
Yeah, because this doesn't pass the Smedile test. What she said is beyond absurd, but let's watch the rest and I'll tell you why.
I'm with Senator Durbin on this. I don't condone this leak whatsoever, and there should be an investigation, as I said, by the marshals into this. But to Cassie's point, I don't know of any serious leading Democrat, any real elected Democrat that supports abortion for a baby already delivered. That is extreme. That's murder in this country, and no Democrat supports that. I support fundamental limits on abortion in terms of well, which governor supports actual murder of a child delivered?
Former governor of Virginia. That was a big scandal you guys tried to push under the rug.
Which governor?
But so address Ralph Northam.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay, well, there's a radio interview
that's actual murder, Cassie. But listen, I think the president and the vast majority of Americans fundamentally support the Roe decision, 50 years, obviously strong, but also support, to Cassie's point, some fundamental limits on abortion. I fundamentally agree with bans on 3rd trimester abortions.
Yeah. God, he's so weak. God,
unbelievably weak. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry. I totally misread what that video was supposed to be. I thought there was going to be a heated debate. I didn't know there was going to be a pathetic little coward on that panel who was supposed to counter the insane deception and lies coming from that Trump lunatic. By the way, Donald Trump, who advocated for the executions of the Central Park 5 after DNA evidence cleared them of any wrongdoing. After it exonerated them, he wanted to execute them anyway. That's your pro-life hero? Is that your pro-life hero?
Yeah, so she said in the first clip that that Democrats advocate for, quote, abortion beyond the birth of the child. What is an abortion beyond the birth? That's just a person. There is no, you can't abort something if it's beyond the birth. Why are we having this conversation? Look, Fox News is filled to the rim with liars and lunatics. But the rest of the press, like there was a big kerfuffle earlier in the week because the New York Times finally said that Tucker Carlson might be racist. And they thought that was like the biggest, like boldest thing they have ever done. They're like, did you know what Tucker Carlson's saying? And for a lot of the elites, they probably didn't. They're like, oh, I read it in the New York Times, he's been naughty, right? Yeah, we cover it all the time here. And even then, they're just so afraid to call them what they are. There is no abortion beyond birth. That's just a person. That's so obviously a lie. That's so obviously the rantings of a lunatic mind. But now we've all come to accept it because everything's 50-50. well, the sane people say this and the insane people say that. And I can't tell. There is no abortion beyond birth by definition. Honestly, if you're a right winger and you're on her side and you think what she said is true, I genuinely feel bad for you because you have no ability to think at all. Like, oh yeah, well, you know what? That boy, he was aborted, 16 years beyond birth. Oh, that guy was killed 20 years beyond birth, and that was an abortion. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Coming from the pro-death penalty party, okay? Coming from individuals who, again, I can't stress this enough. We can't allow short memory spans to put us in a disadvantage right now. We're dealing with a pandemic that has subsided a little bit. Hundreds of thousands of Americans who didn't need to die died because her party, people like Donald Trump, decided to make masks a culture war issue. The same people who want to be all up in your uterus and decide what you can and can't do with it are the same ones who were losing their minds over having to put a piece of cloth over their freaking ugly faces. Oh, I can't breathe. How many videos did we see of Trump supporters at grocery stores or retail stores or just out in public hyperventilating over having to briefly and temporarily put a goddamn mask on? But they think that a woman shouldn't have agency over her own body because they allegedly want to protect zygotes and fetuses. But the second that baby's born, no mandatory family leave, no child care, nothing, no support. Oh, are you poor because your wages have been stagnant since the 1970s? Too bad. We want to cut funding for food stamps. We want to cut the social safety net. We want to make sure that our rich buddies save $1 or $2 in taxes. That's how pro-life they are. There are kids living on the streets right now as we speak. In Texas, they have an issue with an underfunded foster care system. So they say, oh, well, if you can't afford the kid, you just give it up for adoption, as if that's not a traumatic thing to do after carrying that fetus to term for 9 months. But then what? You're gonna just put it in the system that you've underfunded intentionally because you want rich donors to save $1 or $2 in taxes? That's who this party is. That's who that woman is. She doesn't care about people's lives. This is all a fun little game for her.
Yeah, it was a study that proved conclusively that hundreds of thousands of Americans died because they did not get vaccinated. Fox News right-wingers told you not to get vaccinated. They killed hundreds of thousands of people with the wrong information. Were they pro-life then? No, they didn't care at all. It's all a way to control you because they just need that power. By the way, Smedile, give me your kidney. You know why? I don't intend to do anything wrong with it. I actually intend to save a life with it. Because now apparently women aren't allowed to control their bodies. Why? You could say because to save a life, in your mind, right? You think the zygote is a life. That's okay, I have a real living person who needs a kidney transplant. Smedile, give me your goddamn kidney. You're a woman. You're not allowed to control your body anymore. Give me your kidney. Why not? I thought you were pro-life. It would save a life. Give me your goddamn kidney. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, because it's about you. By the way, I guarantee you, her and every other right winger, the minute they're pregnant and they don't want to be, they'll get an abortion. That's what they do every time. Oh, but I'm moral. No, you're the most immoral people alive. You're trying to control women and turn them into chattel. No way. All right, last couple of things here. She's lying about Governor Northam. Of course, Governor Northam said the exact opposite. Besides which, no one could possibly say you should have an abortion after someone's already alive. Again, it's the dumbest point. And then who actually codified and said there should be no late-term abortions in the 3rd trimester? Roe v. Wade. They're so deceptive. It's actually Roe that says you're not allowed to have an abortion once it's viable, once it's in the 3rd trimester. Did Fox News ever clarify to their audience? No. They're like, we got to get rid of Roe so that they can't have abortions in the 3rd trimester. That is Roe. You're right-wingers, you're so ignorant, you don't even know how ignorant you are. For God's sake, read a page. I know you and your dear leader are incapable of reading a page, But once, if you want to live and bathe in your own ignorance, and sometimes because of COVID die in your own ignorance, that's your goddamn problem. But then when you say we should take away our rights because of your wacky beliefs, no goddamn deal. We're gonna fight you. We're not Democrats. We're progressives. We came to fight.
We got to start strategizing. We got to find a way to take advantage of whatever loopholes we can find. It's just, I'm done hearing from people like this.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. Like, I'm done with it. It's a waste of time. And we've got, like, in terms of political power, we've got almost no one on our side. At least no one who's actually engaging in this fight alongside with us. And that is incredibly demoralizing, and I'm done being demoralized. I'm done being disappointed. I'm done, thinking like, oh, let me give the progressive lawmakers a chance. Maybe they'll speak up. But even they have been beaten down into complying with the corporate wing of the Democratic Party. I mean, the lack of endorsements coming from progressive lawmakers for Nina Turner solidified that for me, okay? You guys are disappointments. We rallied for you, we fundraised for you, we gave you endless interviews on this program and other progressive programs. You guys didn't deserve it. You immediately folded after doing a few PR stunts. The only thing people are gonna remember is that women lost their reproductive rights when Democrats were in charge in Congress. They're not gonna give a damn about the Senate parliamentarian. They're not gonna give a damn about the Senate filibuster. All they're gonna remember is this happened under a Democratic president and a Congress that is controlled by the Democratic Party. You guys are pathetic. You guys are embarrassments. And take a look at what we're up against. People who have no problem lying through their teeth and smearing Democrats as if they want to do murder after a baby is actually born, a viable baby outside the womb. That's who we're dealing with. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. I can't stand it anymore. How many times are you gonna be disappointed before you finally decide time to switch gears and find some other strategy? There are organizations in this country, I don't know how expansive they are. It's something that I'm gonna be looking into a lot more in the coming days, that provide transportation for women living in red states who need access to abortion. They take them to a boat on international waters, which means that it's not regulated by US federal laws, so they can get an abortion. That is incredible, and that is an inspiring story. I wanna get involved with that kind of stuff. We need to look out for our communities, we need to look out for each other. That's the only way that we're gonna win. That's it, that's the only path forward.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.